Hello, everyone. Welcome along to the Rangers Rabble phone in on a Monday night. I'm your host, Brian, tonight. I'm back from my holiday refreshed, and I was hoping for a nice, cushy week, but unfortunately, Rangers had other ideas. So nice to see you all. Tonight, I am joined by James. James, how are we?
I am delighted, mate. I am getting back to Ibrox. I said I wasn't getting back to he was away, and I am chuffed, mate. I was dancing around this house last night.
Ian, how are we?
I am all right, mate. If James is saying that, but it depends who we bring in. He might not be.
Connor, are you well?
Yes, all good. Aye, it was a weight lifted off everybody's shoulders last night. It was like watching a film, just waiting for the villain to finally get his comeuppance and get done in. You knew it was coming. It was just a matter of time, and thankfully we pulled the trigger.
Nicholas, you're absolutely correct. As soon as I heard the news, I was just like, why did I just not stay away? But here we are. So yes, the news broke last night, obviously, that Michael Beale was relieved of his duties. I was kind of surprised that it was 8:30 on a Sunday night. I was fully expecting it to be this afternoon sometime, but here we are. My thoughts generally were that he was lucky to get past the PSV game. Then after that, he was extremely lucky to survive the Celtic game, and obviously the Saturday's game was the camel that broke the straw on the camel's back sort of style. So, James, I mean, it should have been done before the last international break, but they chose to do it on a Sunday evening. So, what was your thoughts when it immediately broke?
Thank God this period of the club's there and done with, and I'm getting back to Ibrox. It was a long time coming. Let's be honest, mate. For me, I said after the Celtic game, I wasn't getting back until he was out of job. He should have been sacked after the PSV game, mate. You are 100% correct. For me, getting pumped 5-1 off anybody, mate, it just isn't. It's not the Rangers way. I don't care who we're up against. I said the same about Gio when we get rattled 7-0 off Liverpool. They should be coming to Ibrox and beating us 7-0. I don't care who you're. But my immediate thought was, thank God it's done. But the board have got a massive, massive job now, because if they don't get this right, we are going to end up like Man City were when they were back in the second division to Man United. We're going to end up a plaything to them across the road, and it can't continue to happen, mate. It needs to get done right. If they need to take their time to appoint the right man, take their time. Just don't rush out and give another Pedro Caixinha or something. That's all we ask for.
Absolutely. I'll try and do a quick straw poll of everybody that's in the comments. We now have obviously Stephen Davis along with Alex Ray at the helm. A thumbs up or a thumbs down if you are pleased with the interim managerial position at this point. Ian, James said relief. Long time coming. I mean, it was just, I think we've all said it, for a few weeks now. We were the board were basically kicking a can down the road, weren't they?
They were indeed. I mean, I can't go against anything you said. That the PSV game, number one, Celtic game, number two. I mean, even after that, the Motherwell game, you could easily pulled the trigger then as well. So yeah, they were kicking the can down the road, hoping things were going to change. It didn't. That was one step too far. Probably took a little bit longer than it even should have at that point. But they finally did it. The only bit that annoyed me was they did it just as we were coming off air last night, so we didn't get much chance to talk about it.
Yeah, and I'll just quickly go to a super chat before I come to you, Connor. Beep, bop, boop. I always say that very slowly so I can get it correct. $4.99 super chat. Absolutely appreciate that. I'm not having anyone apart from Muskie, which I would assume is Kevin Muscat, guaranteed to not only bring success but also the best football we've seen at the club. Mark my words. That's a big statement, Connor, isn't it?
It's bold, aye. I mean, look, I don't know enough about Kevin Muscat's managerial credentials because I've not followed his career, obviously, so I don't know enough about him to say whether he would be the roaring success that's been suggested there, to be fair. What it does have to be is the right decision. It sounds like the obvious thing to say, but it's now 2 managers in under 12 months we've had to sack. This board cannot get this wrong.
Connor was in total full flight there. I'm just picking up a comment here. Right, the phone lines are open, folks. 0141 628 7237. That's 0141 628 7237. Connor, you're back.
I am back. Yes, I don't know what happened there. The screen went blank. No, as I say, we can't afford to dilly-dally with this one and then sit here next year have the same conversation. For a standpoint, both on the park where we need to be, starting to get back to winning a bit of silverware again, and obviously we need to catch up. We're on the side of the city as well now, because they're going to inherit a deficit already of 7 points, so they're behind the curveball as it is, and even financially, you can't afford to keep sacking managers all the time and get it wrong. So hopefully they will get it right. But I think, like everybody, it was a sense of relief. It all seemed to happen very, very quickly last night, though, because the first tweet I think I'd seen suggesting he'd gone for somebody on Twitter was at about 7:30, and then over an hour later it was confirmed. I think just before the club said it, the Fabrizio Romano said it, and when I seen his tweet saying it, I thought he's definitely got it if he's saying it. So it's relief. Now we've just got to, I think, give the backing to the interim team while they're there. And hope they can do a decent enough job for us in the meantime, and then get the call right. And we don't need to rush in it. We've got an international break coming up. So if Steve Davis and Alec Ray and Steve Smith have to take charge for the next 2 games, and then we spend a couple of weeks during the international break doing it, so be it.
Yeah. Falsey, I did see your comment. I'll get back to it further in the show. I've written it down, so we'll speak about that later. James, the list that's been published by one of the bookmakers, I'm not going to name them because there's so many, but the immediate favourite that has come out is a boy called Pascal Janssen. He is obviously, I think, the AZ Alkmaar manager. Second favourite is Kevin Muscat. Stephen Davis was third. Neil Warnock, Derek McInnes, Knutson, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his first name. Frank Lampard, Graham Potter, Kieran McKenna, Nathan Jones, Marcelo Bielsa, and Marcelo Gallardo. Now, there's obviously the same old names that pop up in these manager sort of lists of who's going to be the next manager. Is there any out of that lot or any other names that stand out for you?
I think the boy for South America,
Gallardo.
Gallardo. I've obviously heard a lot of good things for him. Obviously, Graham on this pod is bumming him up, saying that he's one of the boys that's going to be the next best thing, I think, to come out of South America. Again, I don't know much about the guy, but obviously Graham knows his stuff, mate. You know what I mean? He is very clued up on world football, so I'm more than willing to take what the big man says about that. Anybody else on that? My first initial thought was Potter, mate, because I think his reputation took a bit of a battering at Chelsea. Is it something you might want to come up here, mate, and do a couple of seasons up here, get Rangers back in the winning, and then he's obviously back in the shop window for teams down south again. But it's one of these things whether or not the guy wants to take the job. Me personally, I can't see him doing it because I think he obviously wants another crack at the Premier League. But for me, mate, I don't think there's an absolute standout in there for me. I just think it's one that I definitely don't want at the club is Derek McInnes. He's just a no-no, because if we're going to go down that road, mate, let's just include everybody in the Scottish Premier League. Let's get David Martindale in as his assistant in. I just think it's mental, man, to bring these guys up. These are people that have openly come out and says that they can't beat that mob across the road. So what do you do, mate? Do you give him a budget and he goes and blows it as well? But the board have got a massive decision now to make, mate, and it needs to be the right choice. And it's one of these things, as Connor's saying, we can't be sitting here in 12 months' time again or 10 months' time and saying, right, who are we going for now? We're all a very impatient set of fans that don't, and we need success straight away. We're Rangers, we shouldn't be playing second fiddle to them across the road. So for me, they've got a big job in their hands, mate.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, Ian, one of the most important things is that I've kind of firmly went off this sort of train of thought that it has to be somebody that's connected to the club. I've kind of went 360 on that. I've had enough of that chat now. I want simply the best person for the job. Somebody's going to come in and take the players, take the whole football club by the scruff of the neck, pretty much like sort of Gerrard did, and say, look, it's my way or the highway. Now, I know that's a kind of all your eggs in a basket sort of scenario, but you've got to have somebody that's going to come in and at least command a bit of respect. You're on mute, Ian. You're on mute.
Never happens to me. That's tonight, though. Yeah, the fact this whole thing about him being a Rangers man, I hate the saying. It just shakes me to my core now. I don't care if they're a Rangers man. I said it, I think, after we came off air last night. I don't care if he's English, French, German, out of Mongolian, from Mars. I don't care. As long as he can get us playing good football, attacking football, and win a silverware, I don't care where he comes from. To a degree. I mean, I'm not going to say get Neil Lennon in the door. I don't want him in, obviously. But just to point out something on, a lot of people saying Bielsa. Bielsa doesn't take clubs midway through a season. He will not come into a club at any point unless it's the start of a season. So he won't be coming unless we plan on having Davies and Ray in. But I don't think they will. But no, I don't know a lot about most of the names that are on there. I'll do some digging and find out. I think I'm just going to listen to McGraw from now on. He seems to have it nailed on. Probably he should go for the manager's job. He seems to have it all sorted out, to be honest. He likes the guy from South America. He likes Gallardo, and he likes Jensen in Holland. So if I don't know enough about either of them to make a choice about them. So if McGraw saying that they could be the people for the job, he was right about Beale, so I might jump on his train.
Yeah, I think there's a few of us have had to swallow a bit of humble pie after the Beale fiasco, Connor. I'm probably guilty of that as well. I'm very reluctant to ask for managers to go, but there's a point there's just a point in a season where you think enough is enough, and that I snapped after the PSV game. I had simply seen enough. I wasn't impressed with the signings. For me, Desser's goal record's horrendous. I think Lammers is just as bad over the last couple of seasons. So for me, that was massive sort of red flag for me. But going forward, we have Stephen Davis and Alex Ray at the helm just now. Obviously Davis has played with a lot of these players. So how's the players going to react to a guy like him telling them basically now what to do?
Well, I think that's where Alec Ray and Stevie Smith round about him will be important. Look, Steve Davis is clearly a highly respected player at the club. I think the players in that dressing room who have played with him respect him. Some of the other guys, obviously, who came in this year haven't played with him because he's been injured, which is the most Rangers thing in the planet, that even our manager is injured at this moment in time. But, you know, those guys will have seen him about the club and know that it's the status he's got and how high in regard he is. So I think they will respect him enough to listen to him. As I say, I think Alec Ray particularly will be important because he's got managerial experience behind him. And Paisley, obviously. Now, that wasn't their own success. I'm not suggesting that, but at least he knows sort of, you know, a bit about how you handle a changing room. And of course, I suspect he's probably also in because he's got his UEFA license as well, hasn't he? So that's an important aspect. Well, it's important. It's a group effort. They all have to pull together. You've got three arguably legends of Rangers past. Stevie Smith less so, but he wasn't terrible in his day. And the new crop have to listen to these guys, because I tell you one thing that all three of them do have as Rangers men, as Rangers players, that none of the current crop of players do. They know what it's like to be in successful Rangers teams, because they were part of successful Rangers teams. We know Steve Davis. He's a guy who's been part of 2 squads that have got to European finals. 2008 was brilliant. Alec Ray was in the team that won the title on Helicopter Sunday in 2004. So, these guys know what they're talking about. And if they're not going to listen to guys like that, they shouldn't be at the club, quite frankly, is the bottom line. And I'm expecting, because he's took a lot of flack, and I think rightly so, I'm expecting James Tavernier to step up to the plate as well as the captain. He's going to have to muck in and do his bit for the time being. Whether he's capable of it, time will tell. But now's a chance for him as well to try and galvanise people in that changing room, because, okay, we'll accept you need to take time, but none of us want to go and lose at St Mirren next weekend, and we don't want to be losing on Thursday night either.
Yeah. And seeing you've mentioned Tav there, this brings me back, James, to Falsey, who made a point earlier in the chat, and I wrote it down because I thought it was a good one. This is Tav's 8th manager coming up, James. This will be his 8th manager under Stephen Davis. So when the new manager comes in, it'll be manager number 9. I'm trying to work this out, and I can't. Can you help?
It comes down to the pack, guys, mate. That I keep hearing. It's the same thing about Golson. He's the best player in that position at this time. Something that just irritates me hearing that. I don't go for this. Or he's the best. It doesn't matter whether somebody's the best. If somebody's not performing in a Rangers shirt, they should not be playing they shouldn't be starting a game for Rangers for me, because it's one of the things. It goes back to when David Bates was their best defender, and that absolutely still kills me to this day that David Bates is the best at anything. He's not even the best defender in his own house, let alone the best defender at Rangers. So for that, mate, I just think that I like to have, right, and all the goals and stuff like that, man, that he's obviously chipped in, mate. Yep, absolutely. You can't knock it for the guy for a right back. He's obviously been up there and he's been banging the goals in left, right and centre. But the thing that a right back will always be judged on is his defending. And at times it's absolutely horrendous. You can see it coming for the other side of the park, where these teams are obviously hanging him because he's so far up the park. I'm just hoping that Stephen Davis comes in and starts to get a tune at them, because what I would hate for it to happen is somebody, for me, who's a legend at the club, and Stephen Davis, that these players don't get their finger out their backside. He's a well-respected man throughout the world. Everybody that that obviously speaks about Stephen Davis has got nothing but the high regard for him. I heard Kevin Thompson last night saying that he's the best player that he's ever played with. And for me, I think these players, they owe it to Stephen to obviously get him a good win, starting on Thursday, then going on to St Mirren, which then starts to get the confidence around the place as well for me, mate. So this is what we need to start doing. It breeds, and he's, as Connor says, the man's a born winner for me. He's been in teams where, dragging us into the 2008 final. It was, he's just one of the guys for me. He's a Rolls Royce of a player, and I just hope he gets in there with the same attitude as a manager. And I hope Alec Ray gets in there and starts stripping a few of these players and telling them a few home truths, because they do need it. See this stuff now in modern football. You can't speak to football players. Pathetic. I've never heard that. That's the biggest load of crap I think I've ever heard in my life. Players are grown adults. See, if you're playing for it, it's like me getting into my work and I'm not performing. Is my manager then going to take me to the side and say, oh, well, we can't speak to you? And I say, no, I can tell you're not doing your job right. Get your finger out your backside and start performing. So that's what I'm looking for, mate.
Yeah. Obviously, Falsey's come back, Ian. Tab is part of the long-term shite culture and mentality. It all has to change. Your thoughts?
My thought on that one is, someone else mentioned it in the comments earlier. There were 2 videos I saw on social media today. One fan trying to talk to the players. He tries to get words out of Tav saying, When's it going to change? When are we going to see a difference? What are we going to do? Cav can't get away quick enough. All he wants to do is argue with him. Jack Butland stops, takes his time, talks to him, remains calm, which Tav didn't do. Tav started shouting back. Remains calm, tells him it's not good enough. We know it's not good enough. We are doing our best to try and change that. We will be better. Okay, soundbitey, but he took the time. That's the mentality we need from every single one of our players. Not a captain who's just going to turn around and go, well, what do you want me to do about it? There's nothing we can do. It's done, and walk away. I've defended Tav. I've sat here. I defended Tav. I said, like, where would we be without him with his goals from last season? He has had absolute superb seasons for us. There's no denying it. The run to the Europa League and all the rest of it. But that's in the past. You're only as good as your last game for this club. We all know that. So we need the mentality that Butland brings. I'm not saying that Butland should be captain because I don't think goalkeepers should be captain. Yet they can see everything, but they can't get that message out around the pitch quick enough. But that's the mentality we need to go. And I completely agree with Hodges' comment. An attitude change is needed. And hopefully with what will go down to be a proper club legend taking interim charge with Alex Ray behind him doing the ass kicking, hopefully we'll start to see some sort of improvement. And hopefully he's got the balls to go in there and go, Tav, mate, sorry. I'm going to have to give this captaincy to somebody else because time's for a change.
Yeah. I think being a club captain, I think if you're at too long, Connor, it can sometimes weigh on you. Especially if you're club captain when there's a period of time where the success hasn't quite been there. It's all very well if you were Terry Butcher, Richard Goff, David Weir, captains like that, Barry Ferguson, guys that were regularly winning things. I think if you're regularly winning things, then whoever's that captain's obviously doing a good enough job. What I liked about all those captains was that if something wasn't going right, they would absolutely berate whoever that player was. They wouldn't care who they were. Barry Ferguson was berating some Ronald De Boer and Lorenzo Amoruso and guys like that. He didn't care who they were. He wanted a certain level met. And I just don't think I'm not expecting him to be this ogre and shouting and just berating people for no reason, but at least let no players know when they're not stepping up to the plate, basically.
Of course, listen, you can't, because I get fed up of watching Tav in games where, like the Aberdeen game at the weekend, where it's everything that can go wrong is gone wrong. The manager's lost the plot in the touchline. He's no clued in what he's doing. He's trying to throw players on in the veil hope that something changes. He's bringing a Scott Wright on, for example, at half time and Barisic. It's not working. And Tavernier is doing nothing. There's not every time the camera pans to him, he's not looking angry, he's not looking bothered, he's not shouting at players, he's not demanding better, he's not trying to bring people together. Even in moments of adversity, we're down to 10 men, but we get a goal back. So your captain should be getting everybody gathered around and going, right, come on, boys, let's get into this here. We can still take something for this game. A draw wouldn't have been good enough, clearly, but it would have been nice to see some of that passion coming for the captain, and it's not been there. And look, has he been fantastic in terms of the goals he scored and a Europa League golden boot and all that? That's all brilliant. It's brilliant individual achievements he's got, and over 100 goals for a right back, we'd all agree, is quite some achievement. But the great captains that we've had in the past had the right mentality and the right attitude to know how to deal with adversity. James Tavernier hasn't shown that. He's never fully recovered it, I don't think, since his match day programmes when he said that they struggled to play in front of fans. That's unacceptable for a Rangers captain to say. Can you imagine Barry Ferguson saying that? Can you imagine John Gregg saying that? Or even Richard Goff when he was captain? Not a chance in this planet would any of those players be saying that, because it's a nonsense. And I think that started to turn a lot of people sour on him as captain. I also think when you've had the amount of managers he's played under, it might not be the worst idea to look at changing the captaincy. Because how long do you let that continue? Sometimes that freshness can help you, especially for a new manager, because they want to set their style and idea. I don't know who that would be. Personally, I think Goldson would be a better captain because he at least tears into players a bit more than Tavernier.
I mean, James, the new manager who's good at whoever that may be, Do you trust the board to pick the appropriate person that is going to be good enough to drive the club forward, gets a tune out of these players that we've currently got, and identify players that we either need to get rid of, as in the current squad, and then obviously whoever he wants? Do you trust the board to get this appointment right?
A couple of weeks ago, I'd have said no, but I think after hearing the way the fans have reacted, mate, even when we were winning games, they know it's not good enough. So I think, and I hope now that they know that this isn't a case of, oh, we'll just go, we'll need to get somebody in to appease the fan. They need to make this, as I say at the top of the show, mate, this is without doubt the biggest decision that this board will ever make in their lives.
Hold on, James. We've got Andrew on the line. Andrew, how are you?
I'm fine, Brian. How you doing, you and lads? Okay?
Not bad, yourself?
Yeah, fine. A bit relieved after last night's announcement eventually. I think none of us were surprised, really, after Saturday's shite show. I mean, that was, frankly, I switched off the radio when the Dons went 1-0 up. I thought, oh, fuck off, sort of thing to myself, and, put it off. And I knew we weren't coming back. When I saw it was 2-0, I thought, bloody hell. This is just not acceptable anymore. It's really beyond a joke. But, let's maybe let other guys talk about potential managers. My worry would be whoever gets the job, can they get a tune out of Beale's blooming signings? Or are you going to have a fire sale in January, lads?
Ian, is the new manager, whoever that may be, going to get a tune out of these players that Beale signed?
He's got a tough job because there's a couple of them I think he could, but the majority of them I can't see it. I mean, I can't see anybody getting a tune out of Dessers. No one's really managed to do it in the last 2 or 3 seasons. He had one good season in the Conference League. Lammers as well. I mean, I think there is something in Lammers. I think with the right coaching, you could possibly see something, but it's buts and maybes, isn't it? But it depends on the coach. The right coach can get the team to play together no matter what. I mean, it's an old one, but Alex Ferguson used to be able to do it. He used to be, like, Man United had some crap teams come the end of his reign, but he still managed to get them playing. Walter Smith even managed to do it coming back after Le Guen and managed to get a tune out of players that Le Guen was horrible with. So it just depends on the manager.
And do you trust this board, Andrew, to get a tune out of these players? Or, sorry, to choose the right manager to get a tune out of the players?
Well, I think they're going to have to eat humble pie and maybe get the likes of Graham Souness to come in and at least advise them on a sort of football manager to try and select the right recruitment sort of process and get the right guy in. I mean, I'm on about the guy Knutsen from, Bodo Glimt in Norway. Okay, he's on the course to win 3 Norwegian titles. Frank Lampard's another Steven Gerrard. Kevin Muscat, okay, if he brought the same success as Big Ange did across the road, then fair enough. You can get maybe a tune, as the lads were saying, out of some of these players, but whoever gets that job has got a huge task ahead.
Absolutely, Andrew. Absolutely. Thanks for calling in. The phone lines are busy, so we'll hope you'll phone back again in the future. Thank you very much. So, Connor, Ian saying James was saying he was kind of hopeful and confident that the board would appoint the right one. Andrew was just saying he's going through some of the managers that are on the lists that are available. Do you see the board picking the right person?
I think, I can see if they approach it correct and they don't just go for the first cheap available option and properly understand who they're bringing in. And I think we need somebody with a bit more experience as well, because you look at Mick Beale and Gio, they didn't have loads of managerial experience when they came to us. I mean, Michael Beale had only managed a few games for QPR, and even then when he left there, he'd lost 5 games in a row at QPR before we brought him in. And Gio had, to be fair, a fairly decent run in Holland, but again, didn't have a great time in Qatar, which was the other job he had. So you've got to make sure that you're bringing a calibre of manager in. Because let's not forget here, like it or no, across the city, they've got a guy in Brendan Rodgers who clearly is a top manager. And we need somebody, I'm not saying necessarily that ilk, but somebody who's capable, who's got enough experience about them to compete with that ilk and get there themselves. That's why my personal preference would be potentially a Graham Potter, maybe. That kind of route, or if you were going down the more experienced route, I've even said, you can look at some of the guys that are out of a job down south that are more experienced, like Neil Warnock, as you mentioned, or your Sam Allardyce's. It doesn't matter, as long as it's the right call that's made. And that'll be hard to judge because you can't judge that straight away. And we will, because what frustrates me, a lot of people say, I don't want him, definitely don't want him. Now, there are definite red lines for me, like a Derek McInnes, not a chance. But the vast majority, whoever we bring in, we've got to get behind at the start to give them every fighting chance. But again, we'll only do that if we think the board gets it right. So I can't emphasise the importance on this decision for the board.
Absolutely. And James, I noticed this in some of I think it was Talk Sport that Simon Jordan was mentioning. He said that Stuart Wetterman spoke to the club and he wasn't enamored with what they were coming back with and saying to him how to move the club forward. Does that kind of worry you, a guy like Souness isn't impressed with what they're saying?
Aye, 100%, mate. For me, it's obviously you look at Graham Souness and he never badmouths the club for me. He always talks the club up, and it is worrying if Graham's coming back and saying things like that. Could his attitude maybe have changed or whatever? Could the board maybe now come and meet him 50-50 and say, right, well, if you're going to come in, we'll give you whatever freedom to go and have a look and go and speak to people. But for me, mate, it's got to be this board have now got to go through each and every CV for me, mate.
Sorry about this, James. Stuart's online. Stuart, how are we?
Hi there. Who am I speaking to?
You're through to Brian. How you doing?
Hi, Brian.
What was your thoughts
Brian,
last night?
When we were talking earlier about the captaincy.
Mm-hmm.
Hi there, Brian, and
Hiya.
the rest of the panel. It's Stuart. Hi, Brian. My point to yourself and the rest of the panel would be when we're speaking about the captaincy, just to freshen things up. Sorry.
On you go.
Rest of the panel, just to freshen things up in regards to the captaincy, we could do a lot worse than get to the goalkeeper that's just arrived. He's very well trained media-wise. He's media savvy, and he must be wondering what he's actually doing here because he's been promised stuff for Beale in regards to where we were going, what direction we were heading. And I dare say at Christmas, if he's still disillusioned at what's happening at the club, I dare say teams for the EPL will come in looking at him.
Ian, what's your thoughts on that?
Let's get myself off mute so I don't do it again. I said earlier on that Butland is a sort of a captain material and the sort of captain we do need. My only problem with it is because of where he plays. I'm not a massive fan of having goalkeepers as captain, just because, they can see the whole pitch and they can see everything that's going on, but they can't get that message out quick enough. Whereas someone who's on the pitch can actually do it. That sort of person, though, I totally agree with you.
Carry that.
Sorry, say again?
I think he's vocal enough and he's got enough of a presence that he would demand the rest of the dressing room to listen to him. I don't think he's a shrinking violet.
Oh no, he's not a shrinking violet by any stretch.
My thing is as well, if we give that guy a bit of respect and we give him a bit of something to work with, it could be enough to make him think, something. I could fall in love with this club and fend off any potential suitors through him having that at his fingers.
Fair point, Stuart. Absolutely. Thanks for phoning in. A great point, Connor. Butland captain. Stuart seems to think he's got the sort of presence and the sort of experience to help drag the team forward. He's obviously stated there that Beale promised him. He's obviously promised him certain things to come to the club. Is he sort of the sort of player that is potentially a chance to be captain?
I think he has to be, because to be perfectly honest, and I don't know if Ian and James would agree, but when you look through the squad, if you want to take the captaincy of Tavernier, there's nobody apart from Butland that really jumps out at you that you think could do the job. Because I mean, I don't know, maybe some people could you say Ryan Jack? I don't know. I wouldn't personally, but I get why some people might think him. But apart from that, nothing screams to me, apart from Butland. I know the point he made earlier about goalkeepers being captain, and it's not always the best idea, but listen, the guy's got real quality about him and his media presence. He's no shied away from any criticism. The example you mentioned, Ian, and even the fact that he's conducted the press conference again. We've just had our manager sacked after a disastrous weekend, and James Tavernier's been absolutely nowhere to be seen. Nowhere to be seen. He's hid away where Jack Butland hasn't he? So he's already shown that quality for me. So I would say
he's went on that familiar pose. James, can you carry on?
I'm just trying to say. Wonder what Connor's going to say now, mate. You know what I mean? I'm scared to speak here now. Nah. For me, mate, I think I know with Butland is that he's played at the very highest level, mate. He's played for England. He's played with top class international players, so he gets it. He absolutely gets playing for Rangers. He's bringing that with him. So for me, if you are going to change the captaincy, as Connor was saying there, my ideal captain would be Ryan Jack if he could actually play 30 to 40 games a season. 100% Ryan Jack would be the captain for me. Unfortunately, Ryan can't. And there's no point in giving it to somebody that's going to be sitting either up in the stands or on the bench most weeks. So the ideal one for me is Butland, because he does seem to, he has got a bit about him, and you see him berating people out in that park, mate. You see him going absolutely bananas, the same way that Alan McGregor did. If something's not going right, he's no scared to have a go at people. And that's all we're asking for. Even under the likes of Richard Gough and Terry Butcher, we had 11 leaders on the park. So Richard Gough's job was easy at the time. But the thing is, guys, for me, is that then obviously comes for a strong manager for me, Brian. You need a strong manager, because the story that I always go back to was Walter Smith grabbing Richard Gough by the throat. Now, and what line my workman was your manager grabbing the captain and saying to him, if you don't get your finger out your backside and you want to go about fighting with folk, well, fight me first then. And that was the type of, and Walter Smith just had that aura about him as well, mate, that he walked into a dressing room and everybody shut up. Under Beale, mate, I've got images of guys sitting in the corner smoking and playing cards and talking to one another while Michael Beale's trying to get his tactics across. It might not have been that way. It's just the impression I get off of Michael Beale, but we need a strong manager, and then I think that's where the strong captain will then come into the play as well, mate.
Yeah. Connor, could you finish off what you were saying? Hold on, before you start, sorry. Christopher is on the line. Christopher, how are you doing?
Hi, good evening, gentlemen. How is everybody?
Not bad, yourself?
Yeah, not bad. A wee bit better hearing that news last night. What I was going to say was about Kevin Muscat being as the bookie's favourite. I've just looked at his Yokohama Marinos. He's only won 3 of the last 10. He's won 1 game in 5, and he's lost 3 out of 5 matches. And I don't think that's the kind of appointment we should be looking at. We should be looking at someone that's actually getting results at the moment, rather than going for someone who's out of form, so to speak.
Absolutely. I mean, how would you assess his like managerial history then? I mean, it's fair, it's okay saying immediately he's not winning games, but has he done decent like in his career?
Yeah, he seems to have done well. He seems to have been coming off an Ange blueprint with his takeover Yokohama Marinos, and he's kind of followed Ange's footsteps. My only problem with Muscat also would be is we've seen this before. Sometimes the student doesn't rise up to the levels of the mentor, and we've seen that many times before. Like, for instance, I'll use an example. Alan McCloist, he never rose to anywhere near the level of a Walter Smith, etc. So there is plenty of examples out there where the student isn't as good as the mentor, and that would be a concern as well. And also, if things are a bit sticky at Yokohama Marinos at the minute, who says he's not just looking to get out of there before he gets his P45 out of there?
Connor, is that sort of... by the way, thanks for your call. Excellent points. Connor, is that sort of the manager sort of that we're looking at just now? You know, I think Christopher's saying he's played the last 10, he's won, lost 3, and the rest have been draws. So he's obviously getting a bit of heat from his own team, isn't he?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And as I said there, you know, we mentioned earlier that Michael Beale was in a similar run of form at QPR when we appointed him, and look where that's ended up. So I would agree with Christopher in that aspect. Again, it's about doing your homework on these guys and not just going, oh, well, you know, the guy worked under came and done a brilliant job, so therefore he'll do a great job. Doesn't it work like that? It's not how football works. Plus, I had a wee look on his Wikipedia page as well to try and see, and he had a spell in the German top flight. He was sacked after 6 months because of poor results. And if you want to align a European league to kind of where he'd be coming to here, then certainly Belgium's a fair benchmark in terms of his European experience as a manager when the heat's on, because these leagues are different gravy. You know, Japan, Australia and that, where he's managed, okay, he's done decent things there, but I want somebody who knows European football properly as a manager as well, and not just a guy who's... because the thing is as well, it feels like you're trying to feed off Celtic scraps as well by saying, oh, let's bring in Angie's assistant. We shouldn't need to follow Celtic in order to get a manager and get our decisions correct. That shouldn't be where we are as a football club, because we've all said it. We don't want to be number 2 on the park or off the park. I don't want to be second best to their boardroom and have their board go, well, whatever they done, it was good. We can just do that. No, let's have our own way of thinking and bring in our own managers.
Absolutely. And Ian, this is my worry as well. CGM's making a good point. Rangers are going to go for the cheapest option available. I mean, I think Beale was certainly not an expensive option, but it's cheapest isn't always best, is it? And before you answer, sorry, Alex is waiting. Alex, how you doing?
I'm okay, thanks very much, Brian. Nice to talk to you guys. The rest of you, James, well. Connor, Ian, the usual. How's the weather been down in Norfolk? You've got a right good tan in that forehead there.
Yeah, that was yesterday. I was out playing football all day and it got burnt. And today it's absolutely pissing down. So I'd rather it was today I was playing.
How did you react to the news yesterday, Alex?
You're making the rest of the panel look as if they're bloody goths.
I'm just back from holiday, cheek. How did you react to the news yesterday?
Anyway, listen, it's nice to see you. I've waited a wee while to get through today. The lines are absolutely jam-packed. Look, here I go then. Here it starts. Michael Beale, thank you very much. Thank you very much for all your work at Ibrox. Thank you for ruining my boyhood team. Thank you for nearly putting us in a bankruptcy situation. Thank you for bringing in players that you said you'd scouted so hard to get. Dessers. Okay, I'm leaving Danilo out of this one. That was a Sorian. Okay, that boy, in my opinion, is separated from all this. Tav, you can go any time. Okay? You know the player you are. Thanks for your effort. No bother at all. Okay? I want to ask James. James, how are you doing? Apart from looking really grumpy with a big pitted lip there.
I'm all right, mate. I'm happy now, mate. As I said before, I'm getting back to Ibrox now that he's away, mate.
I know, you said that. I want to ask you one simple wee question, James, right?
Yep.
What did you think of McInnes as a Rangers player? As a player?
He done a fair enough job, mate. I thought he was quite tidy for the games that he played in. He was, I would say, he was an average kind of squad player hovering about the park, mate.
Hey, that's okay. It's just that he fucked us up the first day of the season. And you know who I've been... Even now, though, I'm keeping an open mind. I don't want to see a foreigner in here. And I've heard all sorts of shit. This is the circus starting now. This is the circus starting. We're getting Van Nistelrooy. We're getting everybody. We've got Clarence the bloody juggler. Look, I'll tell you what. Has Postecoglou got a younger brother we don't know about? Yeah? I mean, seriously. This is the situation we're in here. I want my team to do well. It's a short-term solution with Davis, who's a great player. Alex Ray, a hard man. He'll go in there and boot a few fucking arses, I can tell you. But I'll tell you what do we do with these idiots that we've got left now, thanks to Michael? What do we do with like... Dessers is never going to come good. Lammers is in the borderline. Poor old Todd's at the game. He was a player when he first came here. And his counterpart for Norfolk, Norwich, Dowell. Can we see somebody, please, with a bit of strength here? No foreigners, please. Somebody that understands Rangers Football Club and they'll take us forward. Please, 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 I'm begging you. Right, guys, I've got nothing else to say on that because I know there's a pile of callers coming on. Martin's got their hair left. Martin's as bald as a cook now, pulling his hair out on the other end of that phone. So, guys, can I leave it with you and have a wee chuckle amongst yourselves at what's going to happen here? But please, no foreigners. We've had enough of them, okay?
Thank you, Alex. Cheers for that. So, Ian, Alex has nailed his colours to the masses. He would say he wants a British-based manager. He says we've had enough of the foreign experiment as far as managerial appointments are concerned. Do you agree?
No, not in the slightest. Bale's a British manager. Didn't work out too well, did it? I mean, I know Gerrard brought us 55, but overall, it wasn't that great. I know it was a difficult job. He had to build it up, and if it wasn't for COVID, would probably have lost his job that season. 2 words for Alex. I mean, bless him, I do love him. We had 2 foreign, well, up until recently, I'm not worried about Pedro and all that rubbish. Dick Advocat, did he know anything about Rangers before he came here? No. Absolute success. Paul Le Guen failed, granted. But I don't think it matters that you need to know about Rangers. You just need to know how to manage football players and get them to play in a style and get them to win games. I mean, he's saying, does Ange have a brother we don't know about? Do you think Ange Postecoglou had any knowledge of Celtic Football Club before he turned up? Probably not. But he managed to turn around and get them winning. So I don't care. I said it at the start. I don't care where they're from as long as they can get us winning and bring us silverware. Don't matter to me where they come from.
I think that's the thing, Connor. From my perspective, they could be Martians from the moon. It wouldn't bother me. They could get a winning team on that park. That's all that matters, isn't it?
Do Martians not live on Mars?
Well, Mars, wherever. As long, it doesn't matter what planet they're from. If they could manage a football club and get us to win, I would take that, Connor.
I would take that 100%. As long as I'm at it's the right guy for the job when he comes in and get us winning games at football.
You've got the curse tonight, Connor. Ryan's waiting. Ryan, how are you?
I'm alright, guys. How are you?
Not bad, thanks. Not bad. What was your feelings when the news broke last night?
Oh, honestly, I was quite happy. Quite chuffed, honestly. Like seeing him gone. I'm from near Aberdeen, and I like to travel up to Ibrox, but it was not. I couldn't justify spending money going up to see that absolute dross. Games, it just didn't. I just couldn't picture spending money on that. It's hard enough watching it for him.
Yeah, but I mean, did you see it as a surprise when it came out, or was it a matter of time?
No, it was a matter of time. I've been
wanting him out for the past since that Old Firm defeat. To be honest, I've been wanting him gone since then. So no, it did not come as a surprise at all.
And who do you think is who do you think is the most suitable manager to move us forward?
Marcelo Gallardo. No, I spoke to Martin on the other end of the phone, and he said you wouldn't care much about him, but he's the ex-River Plate manager. He's got a lot of trophies. Only managed them for about 9 years or something. He's got a boatload of trophies with them, and honestly, I think he's the best guy to move us forward.
And I think as well, Alex, you've got to remember that the next poor manager has got to work with this squad until at least January. Do you think Gallardo's got the nous and the sort of the know-it-all to get these guys playing as a cohesive unit?
Yeah, I think if you bring the squad together, he's like it's obviously not a European league he's managed. He's managed the Argentinian Primera division. Well, it's not a physical league that. Like if you watch some games, it's all about 4-3-3s and balls into the box or with like talking fullback. So kind of things we've seen under Gio and a little bit from Beale, but I think he could probably get the best out of like someone like Danilo and even probably spark a player in Lammers as well. Hopefully sort of a fucking defence.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Thanks very much, Ryan. Thanks for your call. That was brilliant. Thank you very much. Connor, Ryan was mentioning there Gallardo. There's a lot of folk obviously jumping on the Gallardo train, as you would like to think. It's, ifs, buts, maybes, who you really want, but it's going to be so difficult for us to get a guy like that, though, isn't it?
I would be, absolutely. I imagine.
Asked the question, though, haven't you?
You've got to ask the question. A club the size of us, we should be asking the question of just about any manager outside maybe the top 4 clubs in England, really. We should have enough appeal about us to at least have a conversation with people. Albeit the state of things, that might be slightly different. But the one thing I would say, though, I'm no against the idea of foreign managers by any means. However, in my lifetime, I've seen Rangers have 3 foreign managers. 2 of them were abject failures. Only one of them was a success. That was Dick Advocaat. Pedro Caixinha was full of shite, to be perfectly honest with you. Okay, the best thing he did was Alfredo Morelos, and Paul Le Guen. Similarly, the best thing he done was Sasa Papac. You know what I mean? So that's where I have my concerns, that we've got a 1 out of 3 success rate with foreign managers in my lifetime. Doesn't mean that the next one wouldn't be, but it does. It just makes me hesitate a bit, because I just get the Le Guen, Caixinha, shivers down my spine whenever I hear somebody like that. But we've got to have a conversation with everybody, because the board, I'm sure, if they're a responsible enough board, they'll have a list, and they'll be going through that list, picking up the phone to people to get them in for interviews and have those conversations.
Yeah, I mean, James, it's oh sorry, before we come to you, James, Stuart's waiting. Stuart Henderson, how you doing, Stuart?
Hi guys.
How you doing?
My point tonight, sidely, we'll do the side one first because the most important ones are better. So, would you guys take Hadji back? Because I don't know the deal with his loan. If we've got something written in, we can get him back, or would we need to pay compensation? I don't know. Can we just grab him?
I have no idea. Any of the guys, any idea about the loan of Hadji? James?
No, I've not got any time he's made on it, whether it's a state loan deal or whether we can get him back in January or whatever. But I agree with him that he's somebody that will try the unusual. He's somebody that will try something that the other players are scared to do. He will actually have this mad thing called a shot at goal from outside the box. He's very, very good at it. He will, like I say, he is a frustrating player to me at times. But that one pass, mate, will create that chance to score a goal. So I think that's one of the things, mate, that we'll just need to live with when we do get the boy back. I do think he is a great player. I just don't think he's been played in the right position. He's not a winger. He's not got the pace to be a winger. He's better in the middle of the park. He's got quick feet and he's brilliant at spraying passes about, mate. So for me, I would have him back in a heartbeat now.
Okay, Stuart, your next point.
The next one's good. So we were told after Green and White that no one man would ever have the power to destroy our club, and then we just hand Bale the keys. What do you think of that, guys?
Connor, I cut you off before, so I'll let you come back in this one.
Well, listen, Stuart, I said quite recently that the level of power that he had was a concern, because when Ross Wilson left as the director of football, everything then went to Beale. Beale was the guy responsible for signing and scouting these players through his networks. He basically had ultimate control over that, and that does create a bit of a power vacuum and a bit of an issue. So I think it was clear we needed to have some sort of director of football in place to balance it out. But clearly, he never had as much power as we thought.
Unbelievable.
Thank you very much for your call, Stuart. That was a good points there. Well put over. Thank you very much. I mean, Ian, it's as Stuart just said, that the director of football is vacant. Will that get filled? Who knows? Manager's vacant. There's a definite vacuum in there. As Connor, just mentioned, that there's nobody sort of making any decisions now, football-wise, is there?
No, and that is a bit of a worry. There's no real football men at the helm. I always thought that Beale's time might be up if we actually got a director of football in. I thought that if, because he, like the caller said, it seemed he was steering the ship. He had the keys to everything. He was buying the players, scouting the players, saying that these were players that he's had an eye on for years. So I always wondered if we did bring a director of football in, would that be the moment that Beale was actually getting the boot? We need one. We definitely need one. There should have been someone in place so that we could, for this very moment, that when Beale wasn't there, they've got the list. But that list goes both ways. It doesn't. If Beale had been a success, there still needed to be a list, because if you're successful, someone will come looking for you. So either way, we should have a list of managers we should be heading for, and it should be happening right now. Director of football will know, but I think it's not just the manager that needs to come in. Even if it is talk to someone and say, right, we want to bring a director of football. Do you have a preferred person you work with as a director of football, or we have this guy in charge? Will you work under him? And use that as part of the decision-making process. I don't know how all this stuff works. I don't pretend to be that big in business in that sense, but it's something we need, because we can't go again with the manager in full control of everything. Not anymore. Not these days. It doesn't work these days.
I think, James, we need a director of football. We've got time for one more call if anybody else wants to throw in their tuppence worth in this news that Michael Beale left the club. Director of football. There's a few people saying in the comments, we need a director of football before a manager. Do you go along the lines with that?
I do, because then it's obviously everything's structured for then on in, because then you've got the guy that's obviously having to answer to that guy, and he's obviously then going to go out and look for the best possible thing. But for me, mate, I heard there was 40 odd applications in for the Hibs job. There's got to be at least double that in for the Rangers job. This board have got to go through every single CV, and please, for the love of God, don't listen to somebody's PowerPoint presentation and then make your high on that. Look at everything about the guy. And I think that's when you go back to me, the director of football, that we need somebody in there that's a football man, and a manager that's going to come in with a certain way of playing football, and not just also going and playing the one way, because you know what it's like, mate. During games, you've got to change it up. You've got to go out there and you've got to change, mate, if things aren't going the right way. So director of football in first, mate, and then we can then go and look at getting the manager in.
Yeah, that was one position I'm quite surprised, Connor, that we haven't filled, was the director of football. I thought that was the ethos of the club. I thought that's the way they wanted things to go. And I think it was Stuart that said on the phone line, they basically handed everything over to Beale and let him do the whole thing. And I don't think in today's football that's possible, is it?
No, you shouldn't be doing that. I know. I don't know how that worked. I don't know if it was a case that the board decided, look, do you know what? There you go, Mick. You take on that role, and we'll kind of take our time about a director of football. Or if Michael Beale in his PowerPoint said, no, listen, lads, you don't need a director of football. I'll do it. I can do it. Do everything. When they're bringing in somebody like Beale as well at the time, as I say, again, who was his experiences, was you can't ask him to do everything by himself. You need that structure there, because I want, call me crazy, a revolutionary thought, but I want the football manager to be focused on the football and what's happening in the park and on the training ground. Yes, he's got to have a say towards the signings. He's got to obviously be part of that conversation, but he doesn't need to be running that conversation. You can have a director of football. And if I'm being honest, who that would be, I don't know. Doesn't have to be a Rangers man. It could be anybody, as long as they're good enough to fill the position, to be perfectly honest with you, and have that good relationship. And I don't know, maybe, because I agree with James, I think ideally you would bring the director of football in first. Either that, if you can get them both in at the same time, either way would be okay, but you've got to make sure you've got a good relationship between the two, so that every party is doing its job.
I mean, Ian, it's a case of they've really reversed themselves into a bad corner here, and they can't get themselves out, can they? I mean, it's well, Ross Wilson always said that they had a succession plan of whatever was going to happen if he left or if the manager left. They knew what they were going to do. That doesn't seem to be the case, does it?
Nah, this board seems to have painted themselves into a corner, to be honest. They haven't been forward thinking in that sense. When Wilson went, if there was a succession plan for him going, why was the new director of football not in place?
Hold your thoughts, Ian. We've got another Ian on the line. Ian, how are we?
How you doing, guys? All right?
Very good. Yourself?
Nah, no bad. I'm just trying to make a point is, when Beale came in and he turned around and says it never offered Morelos or Kent another contract, and his scouting system looked at guys like Dessers and Lammers. You try to tell me that his scouting system said that these guys were better than the guys that we've already got, and we're letting them go for nothing? I just want to see what your point is.
Well, on you go, Ian. You were in mid-flow, so I'll let you take that one.
In Beale's eyes, yeah. It's simple facts. Beale said himself he'd been, at least with Dessers, he's been scouting this lad for 4 years. And Lammer's the same. So in his eyes, these guys were the right guys to bring in to replace the people that were leaving. They were better quality. They'll do a better job. They'll score more goals. And I think someone on I can't remember if it was on this pod or something else, but someone had said that him and his entire scouting team got around the table and said, these are the guys we want, let's go get them. And the board backed them and gave them everything they wanted. And then we ended up with the show that we've had since the start of the season. So in Beale's eyes, yeah, he thought these guys were better.
But even when you look at guys like Chikala and Hadji, we've let players go like that, and he's kept these guys like Dessers and Lammers, who, to me, I could pick a better fucking team with the guys that I work with than listen and go and watch that on a Saturday afternoon. As soon as Aberdeen scored that first goal on Saturday, I knew that there was no chance that Rangers were scoring fucking anything. Rangers could still be playing the new and still no score a fucking goal against Aberdeen. There's nothing. There's no even one player in that part that you could sit and get off and get edge of your seat and sit and go, do you know what? That's a player. He excites me. Not fucking one of the players on that part on Saturday are worth their fucking money as far as I'm concerned. And Tavernier as a captain is an absolute fucking shit show. And the quicker we get fucking Tavernier sit to the captaincy, the better. Because I think you'll see a far better Rangers team with fucking Tavernier knows the captain.
Thank you very much, Ian. Very honest opinion. That's what we love to hear. James, not much you could really disagree with there, Ian, is there?
No, absolutely not, mate. And we also let Kolak walk out the door as well. Well, no walk out the door, but guy was a goal scorer this time last year. He made 13 goals. I don't think Dessers had 13 target. And going on about trying to get a tune out of him, mate, I don't think Frank Sinatra could get a tune out of him. I just think the guy is without doubt one of the worst strikers I think I've ever seen. And I think a guy summed it up on another show somewhere, called him the Nigerian Kevin Kyle. And that's what he is, mate. He's hopeless, mate. Absolute hopeless. And if he's been chasing him for 4 years, sweet Jesus, man. Need one of the guys out of job now.
Yeah, I mean, Connor, I've had a... sorry, just to let you know, folks, that's the phone lines closed. It's been a busy night. But Connor, yeah, I mean, for me, the Sakala letting go, Cholak go, Lowry letting go, Hadji, at least when those guys were on the pitch, you could see they were trying something, weren't they?
Aye, you knew when they were on the pitch what they were trying to do. Absolutely. Yeah. Listen, Sakala as well. The thing I liked about Sakala is, the effort he gave you, but also the fact he always played with a smile on his face. Mm-hmm. He loved being at Rangers. He might not have been as consistent as we'd have preferred him to be, and he's certainly frustrated. But he had that passion for it. And I've not seen that for... I don't blame Cholak for that.
No, I don't.
But you don't say that for this. See, the thing that I don't get... I said, and I hate to bang on about it, but I said when we signed Dessers that I looked him up and had a look at his stats, Samuel Lammers, and it wasn't good enough for this football club. The guy had scored a few goals in the last 4 years of his career, and that's what we've decided we're going to bring into the club. I know he apparently had some sort of decent conference league or whatever, but if I can look at that and go, hold on a minute here, we're letting, at least when Cholak and Morelos went, we let probably 30-40 goals walk out the door. And you're bringing in that. And to be fair as well, the other problem is you've got to play players in the right position. I don't think Sam Lammers has played in the right position when he's been playing wide or whatever. He's done better as a 10, or as I say, he's a natural striker. That's the position he's played in all his career. And we've went, I come in as a striker and play wide. I mean, really. So that's important as well, is getting players in the right position when you do sign them. But
yeah, absolutely. Well, folks, thank you very much. That has been one busy phone-in. Lots of passion, lots of honest opinions, lots of wishes and wants. But we shall see who Rangers in the meantime appoint. But before that, we will be back on Wednesday with Rabble Extra. Looking forward to the Aris Limassol game, and I dare say that some of the guys might want to chat about Beale as well. So my thanks to James, Connor and Ian. Thanks, guys. Much appreciated. Martin, saving the day for the phone in. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. And thanks to you all for phoning in and being in the chat. We'll see you on Wednesday night. Thank you very much.